Two Texas men tried to invade Haiti by Xevi? Regardless, we're gonna look at that. What that is about. I want to see them invade Haiti.
Meet Gavin and Tanner. They're stupid, but they had a big
They're stupid. Why, bro has like a like a blocky head. Look at him.
plan. You see, their plan was to travel to the Gonave Island in Haiti. All the men on the island then take the women and children as slaves, where they would then force the women and children to watch Netflix with them.
That is a crazy combination of words. Understandable. Have a good day.
If you don't know what that means, look in the comments. Now, if all that sounds insane to you, it gets worse, because it's the actual plan that these two came up with that's the scary part. You see, sometime last year, they meet up. They say, look, we still finna take over that island. Tanner said, you know I'm always ready. How we gonna do it is gonna go in military style. Gavin said, that's smart. You ever been to the military? Tanner said, I guess I haven't. So Tanner joins the Air Force and Gavin joins a firefighter.
That is crazy. Bro, you know, that is some dedication though. You gotta admit though, that is dedication. My guy, that's dedication. Nobody would go into the Air Force for a joke. Nobody. You gotta admit that is dedication.
Academy so they can gain some skills to take over the island. Tanner in the Air Force, busting his ass. He said, man, this is tough. Let me see how Gavin doing. Ring, ring, ring. Gavin said, yep. Tanner said, okay, how's the firefighter training going? Gavin said, firefighter training? Oh, I flunked out. Remember, they stupid. He said, they was trying to make me learn and all that. Tanner said, ooh, I almost said something. Gavin said, cool your jets, Tanner, because I got a plan. Look, I'm finna go to Thailand and learn how to sail boats, because to take over the island, we got to get to the island and we don't know how to sail. So Gavin flies over to...
That is dedicate. I gotta admit, that's dedication. That is dedication. However, the other guy is a bit of a dumbass because he messed up. He should have went through the training for being a firefighter, regardless. Thailand.
He says, hey, y'all, I'm trying to learn how to sail one of these. One of the folks out in Thailand said, yeah, we can teach you. Look, this is how much it's going to cost. Gavin said, cost? Oh, I'm broke. They said, oh, why don't you just Google how much it costs for us to teach you? We got websites. Gavin said, I should have done that. They said, yeah. But you can swim around the water, though. That's free. Now, it's at this point the two men decided to take a step back because they realized they were in over their heads. Psych, stupid. You not listening. They dumb. They said, we'll figure out the boat stuff and the training stuff later. Let's move on to phase 2, recruiting soldiers. And by recruiting soldiers, I mean going to Washington, D.C. and asking homeless people to join them. In fact,
they tried to recruit homeless people. See, there's a chance though you might find a veteran in the group of homeless people. So that might not be bad. That might be a good decision. First of all, nobody cares about them anyways. Second of all, some of them might be veterans. This seems okay.
Tanner requests to be stationed in Maryland so he can be close to Washington, D.C. so he can consistently try to recruit homeless people. The homeless people in Washington, D.C. were like, nah, we're not going to do that. Gavin and Tanner said, y'all want to think on it? And they said, nah. And it was at this point, Gavin and Tanner looked at each other and said, let's keep going. So they start writing battle plans. They start texting each other plans saying, all right, we're going to go here. We're going to go there. They start texting each other terrible things they're going to do to the Haitian women. And it was at this point they get a knock on their door. Do. Gavin and Tanner said, who that? They says,
the police. They probably didn't text each other via encrypted messaging. They probably didn't text each other through some hard to detect way.
The FBI. Gavin and Tanner said, y'all trying to join us? The FBI said, not really, but you're going to jail though. Gavin and Tanner said, all right, we coming out. You see, the FBI had been watching them for months. We don't know exactly how they got caught yet, but that information is probably going to come out in the future. And well, these pictures you've been looking at this whole time are their mugshots. Gavin and Tanner said, how many years we facing? The FBI said, you're not facing like any years exactly. You're just facing your whole lives. Gavin and Tanner said, hey, yo, but
they're going to jail? Life sentence, life in prison. That is crazy.
We didn't actually take over the island. We didn't do nothing. The FBI said, and you were never going to take over the island. You know how many people live on Gonave Island? Gavin and Tanner said, 40? FBI said 87,000. Gavin and Tanner said, well, I'll be a monkey's uncle. So now Gavin and Tanner both face life in prison for conspiracy to people in another country. Side note, they also face another 15 to 30 years for producing a video in which, let's just say, they're doing Epstein activities. Now, technically, there's...
Oh, We got some homies on the client list here. Okay, well, that went south.
They're all charges, so all of this is alleged, but they were texting about their plans back and forth for like a whole year. And they were being watched really closely by the FBI, so it's probably gonna be life for Dumb and Dumber. And why the FBI was involved, because no matter how dumb their plan was and no matter how much their plan was clearly not gonna work, when you start planning to invade other countries, the FBI is gonna hop in no matter what. And speaking of plan,
I am not intending to invade Poland. This was a clear joke. I am not intending of invading France. This was clearly just a joke. And I'm not planning on taking over Germany. That was just a joke. Just for clarification. Anyways, moving on.
planning, a lot of times the plan to do something will get you so many years in prison. It's called conspiracy. You conspiring to do something. And they have a step-by-step plan through their texts. Remember, they're stupid. And it's them actually joining the military, joining the fire academy, flying to Thailand, actively doing.
And if my FBI agent is watching, I hope you're a hot babe. And if you are, I'm proposing to you. You've been around for long enough. It's time to get you.
Things, that's the big part, because at that point you can't say, "Now we were just playing around." But the wild part is that is their argument. Their attorney is basically saying is they weren't actually planning on doing it, and it's basically that reasonable doubt thing their attorney's gonna try to play on. It's maybe Tanner wanted to actually join the military. Maybe Gavin wanted to be a firefighter, and they were just joking around. Oh, Gavin went over to Thailand to learn how to sail a boat. Maybe he just likes sailing boats. And that may sound insane to you, but people have won a lot of cases due to reasonable doubt. An attorney basically saying, can you prove that they really wanted to go to Haiti and do this without a shadow of a doubt? But their attorney is not very expensive. Gavin couldn't even afford his sailing lesson, so it's probably not Diddy's lawyer or nothing. So getting them off on a charge like this, probably not gonna happen, especially since this is front page news. Now, some more evidence that the FBI brought up that I didn't mention was the fact that Tanner and Gavin were studying Creole, which is the Haitian language. So they can...
That is... Yeah, they're cooked. They're cooked.
Make their takeover easier. So now their attorney got to slide up and say, it's a crime to learn a new language. They just like Creole. But the FBI probably gonna pull up and say, why would two random dudes from Texas be studying Creole? Which you better believe that the feds are gonna bring up in the court case. It's basically, how many coincidences can we give you before you say, all right, these two are guilty? And it's,
well, if coincidences happen that often, they may end up becoming evidence.
it's their lawyer's job to make you believe that they're all coincidences. Now, finally, I believe an underrated part of their case, because it's so insane, is the fact that they have another charge. The fact that the FBI has a video that they made of them coercing somebody to perform Netflix watching activities. If you don't know what that means.
That's crazy. At least they start learning the language. At least that. They are at least willing to learn the language and acquire some... You gotta admit, that's some dedication, regardless.
And look in the comments. Now, that someone that they coerced was of... I gotta censor a lot of things. Someone of, let's say, Epstein preference. Remember, they wanted both the women...
A minor.
...and children on the Haitian island. So these people are cupcake chasers. Again, if you don't know what that means, blame YouTube censorship, but... look in the comments. So they already got 15 to 30 years they're facing for that video. Because a lot of times how courts usually work is, let's say for some reason they don't get charged for trying to take over a Haitian island. The idea of this charge is so big that it's gonna influence their other charge, the video that they created. So a judge will probably be like, let me just give you the max sentence because y'all was thinking of doing something terrible.
Yeah, these two are going to prison, and they're not surviving that long the moment they figure out that they're essentially the invader version of Diddy.
Horrible. It's basically what happened to Diddy. His charges were so bad that even when he got charged for his lesser crime, the judge said, dog, the other things were just so bad. We gotta do something. And that's usually how the feds plan it. They say, if we're not gonna get
And yet, bro is running free, so how does that even matter?
you for the big thing, we gonna get you for something. But one of the things that annoys me most about this case is not only that these two were just stupid, it was the level of arrogance they had believing that they could take over an island in Haiti in the first place. Because the fact that they even thought they can take over a part of Haiti kind of tells you what they think of Haiti. You know what I mean? They probably thought they were going to pull up with some weapons. The Haitian people were going to crawl out of their huts in awe and say, wow, you're king now. Meanwhile, Haiti probably wouldn't even send their army.
They have no chance. Zero. None. They're completely cooked. The moment they would have pulled up on their beach, they would have been cooked. Look at this. No way in hell.
Army after them. Meanwhile, they probably wouldn't even get to the island because they'd get lost at sea. They didn't know how to sail. So sure, I blame their stupidity, but I also blame the American education system for their ignorance. Because if you're from America, think about what you learned in history class. America's great. America saved everyone. The end. On top of all that, they're from the southern states of America, where there were several states that even wanted to stop teaching about slavery because they didn't want their kids to feel bad. Meanwhile, slavery is American history. Basically, my point is, not only do I think they're dumb, I genuinely think that they believed that they were better than the Haitian people. And damn, you remember the times where this would be front page news? Like this would be all people were talking about for like the next coming weeks, but this is probably gonna be a day story because of all the crazy stuff going on in the world right now. Anyway, that's the end of my yap session.
I don't even think this is the most crazy thing I've heard like all year. This is not even the craziest thing I've heard in the last 5 years. This ain't that deep. I'll be real. This is not that deep. It's crazy though that they really thought that they as two dudes could take over Haiti and act like they have a chance. I gotta say though, their what's the word? Their dedication is very, you know, if they actually put all this dedication into actually pursuing like him pursuing his career in the Air Force and the other guy just pulling through the firefighter stuff, then maybe this wouldn't have not been so bad. Unfortunately, they did not, and they would rather go the Diddy route and then also think they could take over an island. It happens. Anyways, like, comment, and subscribe. Or we'll take over your country. It's a joke. It's a joke.